the black men uh, dying alone for the most part
Right.
is what we're talking
Right.
about.
Mm-hmm.
And I put out a couple of videos today showing what some of the people are saying with regards to the black men dying alone for whatever reason. Some of them are saying because black men don't want to settle down. Uh, some are saying because black men still kind of want to be players and all of this kind of stuff. Then some are saying they may. I don't know if you saw the one where all of the negative comments where it was talking about how he was so cantankerous and so mean and mistreated so many people in life that when he got older, people didn't want to rock with him anymore, so they left him kind of to die alone. So, what did you
Mm-hmm.
think about some of the things some of the things that were said?
Um, I feel like a lot of people when it comes to talking about dying alone, um, we're seeing the results of people harnessing a lot of others people's fears and pain into it's kind of like a curse being passed down now. Um, a lot of people, like say women, they build themselves to be strong, independent, and have high standards. Uh, to some of those standards are not realistic, and they find themselves later on in life still requiring those standards, but not dealing with the reality of the world and the way it is, and accepting people for their imperfections. And
Hmm.
now we're at ages where people now are used to being by themselves, settle into their own ways, not willing to conform to another person's uh, culture or their ways. And we find ourselves we'd rather be alone than share our lives with someone else. Um, some of this is, I mean, James, you let me know. I mean, right now, way we are the foundation of our relationship. So we talk about what we should expect, but not what we should give, what we should receive, but not what we should share. I mean, everything's one way, a one way door. So I see the effects of the one way door these days, starting to take effect, generation after generation, and I would say um, at different age groups. Um, but it's a hard thing. I would like to see why people, when they say they're single right now, I'm looking at chat. If they say they're single right now, what are some of the reasons that they are single? I
Gotcha.
mean, if we want to have an open dialogue, we want to start to heal wounds. It's kind of like when you go to a doctor's office and people tell you, like, they ask you what's wrong. They ask you, have you had any drugs? Have you been drinking? And you're embarrassed because you have. I mean, I smoked weed the other day, and you know that's not part of your character all the time, but so you feel embarrassed to say it to the doctor. But the doctor's just really trying to understand how to remedy the situation. And sometimes when we get on here, we need to be more transparent so we can start finding ways to remedy the situation.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, I got Nicole. Nicole is going to help sit in with us tonight. Let me get her on in here in the conversation, and then we'll get this going further. Hey, Nicole, how you doing, young lady?
Hey, how are you all?
We're good. We're good. Hey, this is Mark. I don't know if you know Mark. Mark Cormier. This is Mark. Mark. This is Nicole.
Hey,
Nicole
Mark, how
Jones.
Okay.
are you?
Nicole is an internet celebrity and a celebrity in real life too. So you see her roll her eyes at me and all that kind of stuff. But Nicole is very very enlightened, and she's the type of person that's enlightened, but also shares light, and she's able to share it in a unique way. You understand what I'm saying? She's very articulate. She has a way of communicating where everyone can understand it. And I mean, she wrote a. Who did you write that post to that went viral about
About Will and Jada.
yeah,
Really
about the
about
real estate?
Jada.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, she flat killed Jada in this viral post. If you all ever get a chance to see it, you need to go to her page and check. Can you still hear me, Nicole? Because I see Mark is kind of blinking out. It might be
Yeah,
his.
I can see you.
Okay,
Hmm.
good. It's his Wi-Fi. It's not mine. I paid the
Okay.
bill. I promise I paid the bill. But
Come
but
back in.
Nicole wrote a very well thought uh post about the Jada situation and how she had embarrassed him for so long. And it took a unique perspective from women, and I love that about her and everything she talks about. That's always made me kind of gravitate to her, and so we've kind of become internet friends through Facebook, Messenger, and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to get her in here on this conversation. And tonight, what we're talking about, Nicole, is we're talking about. Now, I told him earlier, statistics suggest that a lot of sisters would die single, but statistics suggest even more so that a lot of Black men are going to die alone. It's one thing to die single, but it's another thing to die alone. Okay. Now, everybody, I wanted to put that out there right quick. Everybody that's in the chat, go ahead and share that. Go ahead and share this thread, and let's get this conversation started. Because I'm getting a little bit late start tonight. I'm sorry, y'all. I was dealing with some technical difficulties. All right, but the devil is busy, and hey, he ain't gonna win though, because we're gonna get this conversation started tonight.
All right.
But statistics say, because there's 3 million more Black women than there are Black men, so you're not gonna be able to match up. You can't have unless every Black man can have 3 wives, and we're not in the Eastern culture, so we can't do that. And plus, sisters ain't gonna go for that, no way. But so sisters are gonna die single. Means gonna die single, but Black men are dying alone. Let me play this right quick, and let me see if I can pull this up, and then we'll go from there. Hold on, let me make sure I got it set up. People are texting me like they don't know I'm on my show.
It's always like that.
That's what let you know you don't have real friends. If you're real friends,
well, they don't value what you do. That's really what it is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they don't understand what we do.
I'm a nurse assistant at a hospital.
Okay.
I work on a stroke.
Hold on, I almost got this started. I'm not the most technical.
I know that video you're playing too.
Huh?
I know the exact video you're playing.
Oh yeah, I'm going to play. You heard it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here it is right here. Let me play it.
Hey everyone, I got a message for the Black men. I'm a nurse assistant at a hospital. I work on a stroke floor. And I can't help but notice there's a lot of Black men up there, nice looking, good job having, all kind of stuff, good looking men. And a lot of them have a stroke and can't move their left or right side, and end up, I ask them, where's your wife? And most of them say, hey, I was a player, I didn't never, want to get locked down to anybody, and they're sitting up there in their 40s, 50s, and ain't even got no wife. They depending on a stranger to wipe their ass and get them up in the chair, and then they're gonna go to a nursing home, don't have nobody to take care of them, come visit them or nothing. What I'm saying is Black men need to wise up. You got a woman that love you, that's loyal to you, that take care of you, that got your back. Marry that woman.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said she works on, because at first I heard, when I first heard, I tried to dispute her, because I'm like, ain't no 40, 50-year-old man in no nursing home. But she didn't say nursing home. She said she worked. Hold on, what in the world I just do?
I don't know how they got there. I don't know how they reached.
Stop saying I got it.
He ready to get started.
Yeah, hey, I enjoy the word, but I wasn't ready for that right then. I put stop sharing. But she said they were on the stroke floor. And men in their 40s and 50s don't have anybody to come and visit them, don't have anybody to come take care of them. She said that, well, of course, in the hospital, they got to wipe their behinds anyway, whatever. But eventually they're going to go home. And when they go home, they're going home alone. And I'm going to be honest, I'm 50 now. I just hit my 50th birthday. I've been divorced now since 2019. That's 3 years. So been separated almost 5. And I got to be honest, because when there was a time when I moved in my apartment, so that sounded funny saying apartment after being in the house for so long. But there was a time after I moved in my apartment that I was sitting here and the silence was sounding like noise to me, right? Because I'm so used to having family and, people, the dog barking and everything else going on in the home. And all of a sudden I'm here by myself. I'm in the house alone, right? And the silence, Nicole and Mark, literally sound like noise to me. And kids wasn't calling every day. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nobody checking for me every day. I could go a whole day and not have a conversation with anyone, right? And so I thought about it. What if I passed away in my house? What if I had a heart attack? What if something would have happened? When would somebody find out?
Yeah. Yeah, not until they smell you.
Not until they smell me. Or 4 or 5 days later, my kids
The
say,
children.
yeah, my children say, wait a minute, we ain't heard from dad.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they'll call, and they would probably call and say, well, he didn't answer the phone. Then
But
they
here's
might
the
call
difference.
again.
Here's even the difference with that, though, James. You have children that are engaged, right?
Mhm.
Because of the type of father that you were involved in their lives even after the divorce, after the separation. So they would check on you. But I'm going to say this: my children, if something happened to my ex-husband, they
Wow.
wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know, nor would they think, right? Because the relationship is so strained. Because there are some men that once the relationship with the mother is over, they don't know because of their own issues, right? Maybe that's how their father was. They don't know how to continue the relationship with the children. A lot of them still deal with guilt. Once they do sit with what happened, maybe they take an absence thinking, I'm just going to stay out of the way. So mine wouldn't know because he's always gone.
Wow.
To her point, so you know me, like you said, I'm insightful, so I don't see things as most people do. I see things as is given to me through downloads. So it's interesting that she spoke of the stroke and heart attack floor, right?
Yeah.
Stroke and heart attack deal with what? The heart.
The heart.
The heart. Basically, why we're seeing so many high numbers of stroke and heart attack in men that are 40 and 50, that's still young.
Scary.
Hardened hearts.
Mm-hmm.
The hearts are hardened, right? So I think Mark kind of touched on it when he said, yeah, we like to talk about what you can do for me. You know, that's all people talk about in relationship, but we never really talk about what we can do for someone else. We're not giving anymore. We also are not, there's so much unhealed energy out here,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not just the men that have hard hearts, but there are a lot of women that have hard hearts.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of women that's dying of stroke and heart attack. The difference is the women may, like you said, die single, right? But they still have children.
Yeah, exactly.
The
That's my point.
men, because the men may be like, I can use my ex-husband for example. You go into another relationship, so you tend to put emphasis on the children that are there. They're not even your children,
Mm-hmm.
but they're there with the woman that's there, right? So your children go on about their business. So you have these men 50, 60 years old, their children are like, who? Daddy who?
Wow.
Who? When the nurse does call, we're calling you about Billy Bob. He's here. Oh, okay. Is he? Because what we have is just generation after generation of hard hearts.
That's good. Mark, you back in the conversation, my friend?
Try to see if y'all can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're still chopping up a little bit though, but I can hear you and I can see you as well. Look like Ashley's trying to get in too. Ashley, are you there?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this connection.
We see you, Mark, and Ashley. We hear you. So jump in on what Nicole was saying. Mark, she was talking about, you know, because I used the video of the guys on 40 and 50 years old, the stroke victims, and she was talking about how the stroke in the heart, he's gone again. Can you still hear me, Mark? But for those that are coming in, hello, Melinda Dokes. Melinda Dokes just said something, so let me get her in here. We're going to get some order to this conversation. Normally, it's a lot more order, Nicole, but we ran into some technical difficulties. My mic wasn't working. I had to go to my backup mic. My lighting wasn't working with my green screen at the last minute. All these stuff's kind of my panel. Ashley got a bad migraine, but she's trying to brave it out. Huh?
You're on.
Yeah, I'm on.
Nicole, that part. Nicole,
Yeah.
we're going to persevere.
That's right.
Listen, you got to understand, Nicole is the one that got me to start doing this podcast because I stole a session from her. She gave me one of her coaching sessions. I stole one of them from her. I ain't paid her. But she give you a session for free up front. And she was the first one to tell me that done is better than perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got me to get started now. So she is like I said, a big encouragement to me. And so whenever I have stuff, I try to get her in. But she jumped in tonight to help me deal with this conversation. And actually, I don't know if you heard what she said a minute ago when we talking about the stroke victims with the young men. She's saying
Yeah.
this a lot of it is a heart issue because she juxtaposed the relationship between my children and my relationship versus her children and her children's relationship. You know, she's saying that her children wouldn't be checking for their dad. My children would check for me.
Yeah,
I mean, I know they now they might not check for a week or two, or they might check 3 or 4 days later on and it's not because they're mad at me or they don't love me. It's more so because they're just busy with their lives. You know what I'm saying? My one daughter with 2 jobs, one in college, another one trying to get his career off the ground. But so many men don't have anybody checking for them, and actually they're dying alone. Not single. Single is one thing. I can deal with single if I got family, if I got friends, if I got people around. But when I don't have any, I'm 65, 70 years old, 75 years old, I'm living in a nursing facility or whatever, and no one is coming to visit me.
And Miss Nicole may have said this as I was trying to invite and get on. For me, I feel like a lot of men push the ones that will be in their corners away. Just like us women, we have, and she may have said this, hardened our hearts against different people because different things that have transpired in our lives. When someone finally comes along, that can be that person that could, in essence, be the person that's checking on you, you push them away because it's like, well, I've let my guard down with, Shirley and Betty, and they did X, Y, and Z to me. Now, when someone else comes along, you can't get past that. We all do it, but I know I've ran into a couple of guys and friends that's one of their things. You can't even get past that turtle shell to even get into the soft meat because someone has done something to them to make them feel this way. So I feel like that's one of the biggest things is we don't heal from those past things to be able to realize and recognize that there is someone genuinely that cares enough to be in your corner.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Mark, what you think? Talk to me.
I gotta catch up. I just got a good connection. So I'm over here mad as I don't know what. But I mean, I kind of got to feel when y'all talk about people's shells, y'all don't understand. And Nicole, I know this is our first time conversing, but we in our culture, we build a lot of things off pain and fear. We build things off failure, and not off success. If you look at right now, you got people who are in the middle class talking about prenups because they're already. You got to understand the self-fulfilled prophecy. Yeah. Right. So you got a lot of people who are planning for failure. So subconsciously, you're withholding certain things that's going to take the relationship to work because of that fear. Because you don't want to be a fool, because you've seen trauma and the things that we're not talking about. And also we're lacking the day after marriage. See, we talk about everything we want to do to get married, but we don't talk about cultivation of relationships, overcoming arguments, what is that, conflict resolution within a relationship. We don't talk about those things. People talk about getting married but not staying married. And a lot of men who witness what men go through, especially financially, after divorces, a lot of times they make themselves like, hey, I don't even want to go there, especially when it comes to financial compromise. And so it's a lot of fear and unresolved pain for generations and generations. And with society, with social media, we tend to carry on other people's spirits when we see what they go through, and we act like we'll go through the same thing. Especially like we see people like social media stars or movie stars who have millions and stuff. And like, oh, see what happened to him? I don't want to do it. That's not even you, boo. That's not even you. Yeah. That's not even your category. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, in our role models, we lack those in relationships. We lack those cookouts when you used to get together and Big Mama and Auntie and would sit down with the woman and start talking to them, and vice versa. They would have those conversations about how to overcome that village mentality. A lot of women right now, it's like, and men, You got to be mature enough to have conversations where you're vulnerable enough for other people to help you. And like I was talking about how to remedy the situation, and I don't see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. And Mark, you hear me use we use the analogy that rather than heal, a lot of times we rather amputate, because healing requires that you go through rehabilitation, and rehabilitation requires work. You know, if an athlete goes through an ACL sprain or tears the ACL, and it takes 12 months to come back, at least, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood, and all of the work they have to put in, the lifting weights, the running, all of those things. You know, we'd rather amputate, and a lot of that, like you said, Mark, that didn't come from our culture.
It
That's
didn't.
some stuff like if you lay down with dogs and that dog got fleas, what end up happening? Fleas have a way of jumping on you. If you come out of a criminal culture and then you try to settle into an egalitarian culture, a game that you wasn't equipped to play, right? And then all of a sudden you try to pick up those things, and everybody on the sideline saying, "If I was you, I wouldn't take that. If I was you, I wouldn't put up with that." You know what I'm saying?
And those are the very ones that ain't got nobody, haven't
They don't
had
have
anybody.
anybody.
Yeah, haven't had nobody, haven't had a serious nothing. Can't keep a job, can't keep a house, can't keep a nothing. But they gonna tell you what they not gonna put up with. And those definitely are the people that you have to separate yourselves from. If you're not bold enough to tell them, listen, just like I just said, you don't have anything to be able to tell me anything. All you can tell me is how to lose everything that I can possibly lose because you've never had anything or kept anything. And so sometimes people can't have those uncomfortable conversations with people. But if you cannot, then you definitely need to distance yourself before, just like you said, those fleas jump onto you, and then you be full of something and can't get it out.
Well, one of the reasons we can't really have what plagues, and I said this earlier on a post today. I don't know if you saw it, James, but I posted a video. And normally I'll post a video. I may share my perspective, or most of the time I let y'all take it and run. Right. And so, you know, there were a lot of people that said, yep, this was my truth. But then there were some, particularly women, that were, well, it was a post that was about careers. That, you know, there's a certain group of women that chose to put their career, their degrees, all these things they wanted to acquire and obtain first. They never really sought a relationship. Then when they get 40, 50, they're like, hey, wait a minute, I don't have children, I don't have any, you know, I don't have any of this. Well, there was some women that, of course, the minute you say that, what do? Woo, they ready. They jumping in. And I said, here's why we can't have conversations in our community.
Walking around with the boxing gloves on.
That's right. We are too easily offended.
Yeah.
So if you're 40, 50 years old, right? And I post a video saying there's a large group of African-American women that will die single because they don't have this. They put this before careers. If you fit that category, why are you speaking?
Yeah.
Why are you speaking? I am posting this for people that are younger to just maybe, you know, provoke thought, maybe change perspectives like, let me think about this. But if you're 50 plus, the video about you, boo. Why are you talking? Why are you speaking? You can't.
They don't look
nothing for you to defend at this point. All you're doing is pretty much validating what the video said.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not looking to, and that's all they want to do. They want to defend the situation. They're not looking to, maybe even, I'm not going to even say counsel, but kind of attest to it and tell this is maybe not how you want to be, or this is how I kind of overcame that thing. It's never to make a light bulb go off for them. It's more so, well, I feel attacked. Now I have to come out swinging, and everything is not meant to be. I'm not attacking you when I'm making these statements. Sometimes it can help, and I think that is a very, very bad thing that African American women suffer with. Everything has to be
fighting, and we're not even realizing that our role, right, in the lives of, I'm going to speak because, like James said, my perspective is always different from most Black women, right?
That's why I love you.
So our role is to help men. Okay, period. Take it up with God if you got a problem with it. That's what He created us to do.
Yep, meat. Yep.
Okay. So if
Ain't nobody reading the Bible, Miss Nicole. That's why they missed that part.
I know, but I'm just gonna listen. Listen, I said that just because you don't know the word don't mean it ain't true.
Yeah, yeah.
Just because you don't know it, it don't mean it don't exist. That's
Yeah.
on you, right? But if there's a problem with men, most of the time, and when I say this, most women, it's the wife, the mother, the sister, the daughter. It is the woman somewhere around that man's life that created how he thinks. If it is a man that had a mother that was single most of the time, and if she took her energy out on her sons, always fussing, always putting down, all of that, how does that man grow up?
Resentful and whooped and already beat up, downtrodden. Yeah, a whole lot of different things.
So when he gets in a relationship with a woman, who is he trying to prove himself to really?
His mama.
His mom.
His mother.
Yep, his mama.
His mom.
I ran into I saw a little girl one time. I got to bring Coy in here too because I want Coy to tell a little story in a moment. But
is she home?
She's at the airport. No, but she's trying to jump in. But listen,
Okay.
I want to tell a story. Picking back what you just said, Nicole. I was at Walmart in Conyers one day, and there was a little girl. She had to be 21, 22, maybe 23, and she had a little boy, and he tried to grab some candy, and she started jerking him and snatching him and hitting him and talking about it. And I said, "Stop hitting him like that." And of course, she want to tell me, "You don't tell me what to do. This is my son." Da, 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 yada yada yada. I said, yeah. But when you get through, you're gonna raise him to hit anybody. You're gonna raise him to retaliate on anybody that looks just like you. I said, because when he can't take it out on her, when he can't take it out on you, he's gonna take it out on her. Trust me. I said, leave that boy alone. He's supposed to want candy. And I left it just like that. And so let me get Mark back in. Mark and let me get Coy in, because Coy offered an interesting perspective. Nicole, Coy kind of y'all kind of see life the same, but but hold on, let me pull it. You ain't missed much, Lazaric. We get it together now. Coy, are you there, ma'am?
I'm here.
You stuck in the airport?
Coy.
Hey, Coy.
Hey guys.
Good. Listen, Nicole came to fill in tonight and help with your spot tonight, and I really do appreciate her for that. She
I
popped
feel
in.
like I'm listening to myself.
Oh wow!
Hold on,
Wow.
before you say what you're gonna say, Coy, hold on. Let me try something again. Hold on. I'm trying to do something. I hope I don't get it wrong this time. I messed up earlier. I had us listening to preaching and everything else. Hold on. That ain't what I meant to show. Hold on. There we go.
Well, praise God, it was just a preacher video and not something else.
You know,
Specifically older black men.
Hallelujah.
Let's say 50 and over. Okay. We dying alone. All alone in these nursing homes and these facilities where the only people we see are these nurses. The women got people coming to see them, or they're not even in there. Their families taking care of them. 2 reasons that's going on. And this is real. Talk to anybody in the medical field or anybody that works with elders. This is real. Men dying lonely. Not just alone, lonely. 2 reasons. You was a piss poor father. Now your children don't give a fuck. Reason number 2, you ain't never want to settle down. Just bouncing around, hitting all the ass you can. Is that me? What the fuck?
All right, that's it. Hold on, let me get that off. Hold on, click. It's gone. I don't want the preacher to come back on. All right, so me and Coy talked about. Hold on, Mark, before you come in. I know you got something to say about that. But before you do, let me get Coy in, because Coy is trying to, she's trying to get on a flight, so she might have to get off in a minute. So Coy, when we talked about this earlier, you didn't necessarily agree because you offered another perspective. Would you share that perspective with us, please?
Yes. So when I saw the video, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I saw the video. I responded back to James. I said, okay, so what did I say to you? So you either die alone
Brothers don't
or
want to settle. You said brothers don't want to settle. That's what you said.
right, they don't want to settle. You die alone or you settle. And the reason I said that because I know this older guy, really nice guy. James didn't understand where I was coming from because we had just watched the video with the guy saying, okay, well, it's guy's fault. Well, I was explaining to James that I know this older gentleman, and he's well in his 60s. Nice guy, well established. He hasn't been a bad father. Um, and he doesn't play games. But his issue, he has a friend, but he will not make it official because his issue is, at her age, she's still trying to get in this man's pocket.
Wow.
This man just wants peace. And
Mhm.
at her age, at his age,
Mhm.
there's women out there who still like that. They're not trying to just live a peaceful life. They want money. The mentality is messed up.
Wow.
So he said, you know what? He's good to his kids. All of his family is out of state, but he's good to everybody around him. I mean, he has the spirit of being a servant. He goes out and help people. He said he don't mind dying alone. He doesn't trust that this lady will keep his kids' interests in mind if he pass away. Everything will go to her instead of her being, um, instead of her sharing things. He doesn't trust her, so he won't even move her into that. I mean, he got really sick, and my dad had to check on him. He went over there. He was real sick. He said, well, "Where's your friend?" My dad ended up taking him to the hospital. He
Wow.
doesn't mind dying alone just to not to have to deal with that garbage.
But she the only woman possible in the whole wide world.
No, but that's the one he deals with. But he doesn't want to put a title on it because of her mentality. She's still stuck there. He's not the type to say, I'll fool you. I'm just gonna drop you. You know what I mean? He's a really
Okay.
nice person, but he's okay with that. He's like, okay, well, I'd rather die alone. He's not a bad person, and that's
Mhm.
really sad that some women they were taught to be like that, and it's still deeply rooted in them.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then it's going to be a lot more women that's in the nursing home dying alone because they're more focused on their career as well. So a
Yeah,
lot
we
of that is
talked
coming
about
as
that.
well.
Yeah. Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
All right, come here, Mark. I know you got something to say. Let's hear it.
I mean, I think my question is really like, if all these men are dying alone, what are the women doing? Last time I thought I checked the population, it was majority of women, more women than men. I
Well, they
just
have their kids.
No,
Also, you
we're
have to
not
keep
saying
that in
yeah, we're
mind,
not saying
Mark.
no.
uh,
The difference is that the women are die single, but they won't die alone because they still their
They have
kids are still
kids.
supporting them.
Mhm.
But men, a
okay.
lot of the men don't have the relationship with the kids. A lot of men have messed up relationship with their families. This is what they're saying. Okay, so that's the perspective we're looking at, Mark, when we say that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at, I mean, there should be some correlation there, especially if the kids are living majority with the mother and stuff like that. I get that, but like the older gentleman that she used, I could see in his situation, him just being content at this point.
Mhm.
He's just, like I said, he just wants peace. He knows what he's dealing with. He's comfortable in the situation. He doesn't want to start over. And I think a lot of men, we're used to being on that road alone together.
Mm.
And for a lot of men, well, who will be alone, is because men are love with conditions, and a lot of
Mm.
men and a lot of women, you love unconditionally. And a lot of men realize that some of those conditions that are put out there, that they may not meet, and they are able to come to terms with that and live within a comfort level. And you may see them die alone, don't mean they were actually lonely. So like I said, I don't identify with that too much because I don't know too many lonely men. And the thing is, I hear that men don't want to settle, but if I'm not, I understand a lot of women rhetoric is they're not settling. They're not. I'm not settling for anything. They have high standards, so why should men be the one to settle?
Well, what is settling? What is
That's
that?
what I want to know. Yeah.
What is that? When even
I,
when
That's a
women say,
good
"What is
point.
that?"
I mean, I would love to hear what the definition. I think I mean
like no one has a definition of what that even really means.
But
that's a disconnection to me, because I feel like if someone says they're settling, you fail to look at yourself.
Yep.
You coming from hours and say, well, I guess I settle for this. Well, look at you. Somebody's selling for you.
Right.
So I think
you know what? That's the propaganda that's inserted in our. It's a whole lot of untruths. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole lot of minutia that we base our relationship on and keep us from getting it, because we're talking about we don't want to settle. All of us say we don't want to settle, but we will settle.
We will. You know? So here's the deal. Back in the day, I think one of us talked about this earlier, you know, relationship. I think Mark talked about it when he talked about how, you know, we would go over to the house to cook out the Friday night, everybody in the family, the card party, the blue nights in the basement, you know, and if the woman having problems, the other women would talk to her like, girl, you better go on and, you know, straighten up, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about old Joe. He'll be all right. You know, we talk about it, right? Back in that time, when your mother and father got together, they got together not even knowing what life would be, right? Neither one of them had anything, right? They were willing to bet on themselves and bet on each other. They worked hard. They worked together. Some of them kept growing and stayed together. Some people grew apart, right? But they at least understood the value of marriage and family.
Absolutely.
And the impact that it has on our community as a whole. We can talk about every problem with our community. Oh, these kids. These kids don't have any respect. You know why? We have no foundation. There is no marriage. There is no family. Period.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. And that's
so we all, I don't want to settle. Well, what happens to our race, our community? Because we've come up with settling. No one can even tell you what settling is.
Yeah. And that's the very reason I'm having these. I try to have these conversations every Monday night for the purpose to remind people what healthy relationships are, to remind people what marriage is, because we talk about it all the time, Nicole. We have generations now where nobody in the family is married. You know, the mama's not married, grandmama not married. So how does somebody even subliminally learn how to be a wife?
How does the bloodline continue?
How does it continue? But but if nobody is willing to, even if we don't want to say settle, even if we just say compromise, we compromise in every other area of our life, you know. But
absolutely
compromise in a relationship, you know, to make sure, that we can continue this whole familial thing that we got as African American. We're struggling. I told somebody today, man, we're in the midst of a slow genocide, if you will. You know what I'm saying? We're steadily dying. You know, they talk about purifying the white race, but our race is like so diluted. You know what I'm saying? And I know it can't be done because we don't have this recessive gene. I get all that, but we've lost our identity.
Well, that's it. We've lost our identity, and we don't like truth. We don't like to hear.
We're not telling the truth.
We're not telling it because we don't like to hear it. So we just keep putting band-aids and pacifying because you don't want this group to get mad. You don't want this group to protest you. You don't want this. We're fear. So we just don't say anything.
So let me ask you something. Hold on. Somebody, QC Carolina. Let me put this on. This comment up. We are living in different times, though. Our parents married as teenagers in their late 20s with limited education. So is that saying that education keeps us from getting married? Because we outsmart marriage, we outsmart our culture because we're smarter than our parents. Yeah, because we're smarter than our parents, and that means we shouldn't get married. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what, and I'm not pointing the finger at you, and I'm definitely not trying to put you on blast or anything. But I want a little more. Our generations are getting married, settling down 1-2 decades later than our parents. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm lost on that comment. Can somebody have some clarity?
I think she's saying that because we are further, instead of getting married, we're further in our education. We are focused on getting our masters, getting our doctorate, getting our things. We're focused on moving up the corporate ladder, and we're saying, okay, I want to get to this point in my career, and then once I get to this point in my career, then I'll worry about a family, or I'll worry about settling down. Those type of things that they want to their personal goals they want to accomplish. You know, they want to look good on paper before bringing somebody else in their life. You know, you have these people who tell people like, "Oh, if I could tell you, you know, live out your dreams, do everything you want to do before you have kids, before you get married." And a lot of people listen to those things,
Yeah.
and they live their life a little longer without those things to make sure. And I don't think anything's wrong with it. But you know, and then you do those things to learn how to love yourself and other people to love you too. But sometimes I think that timeline starts to exceed the reality of the situation.
I think it's only, and the thing about that is it's only our culture that does that. And I wonder, because I'm not clear on this, I wonder if it's just because we've had to go hard and work so hard for everything. Because we know the others, you know, they get engaged real quick, they're married real quick, and they're at home, whether they furthered their education or not, they're at home taking care of their children, and their husbands are working. So whomever has put it in our mind that we got to work hard, you know, go hard.
Fear. It's just fear.
She
It's fear.
said we want to be able to provide for our family before creating a family.
That doesn't
And
make any sense.
well, what they're saying is they want to have financial stability before bringing the kid into this world. I think is what she's trying to have. And so they won't have to deal with the struggle like we had, you know, being in poverty with kids, cause the cost of kids and raising a kid, versus having the financial stability there. Then when you do have a child, you're able to put them in certain programs and certain schools and institutions so they can have a head start or they have a better foundation than what we had. I think that's what she's trying to say.
I got it.
And
Okay.
it
But
makes
does
sense.
that work? Is that working for us now?
Yeah,
We're still in the same position, right?
that's what I was going to say, because and that points back to what somebody said in the comment. Who said that in the comments? I think it was Shantae. Shantae said it all boils down to fear.
Fear.
Nicole came back and said the same thing. It all boils down to fear. Uh, I mean, I'm be honest with you. My ex and I, like I said, I tell the people all the time, she stayed longer than she wanted to stay because she tried to stay for our children, and I know
I
she
did
did.
too. I
Yeah,
did.
and some people say don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. You might not say it's fear, but it's fear from another perspective, Miss Bill, from the standpoint of you don't want it. You don't. Some I ain't gonna say you don't want to do it, but some people don't think they can do it unless they have this or have that. But you can. You know, shit, I ain't gonna lie. We didn't never have a whole lot of money in the bank, but we made sure they had all their activities. We paid all the bills, and at 50 now, all my children are grown. You know, everything, and I don't owe nobody nothing on that. So everything I make going forward, I'm good. You know, and I can save that from now on. So it might not be a absolute fear, but I think it can almost be a form of fear.
What's the projected fear? So if you grow up with a mother who struggled, then she's going to project a lot of times her fear onto her daughter. Or you grew up with a mother that may have had a failed relationship. So she's going to say, you don't want to marry a man and then he leave you and you got to be stuck with all the bills. So go to school and focus on your career. She's projecting her fear and her failure onto her daughter.
Absolutely.
My mother was raised by a man with a fourth grade education. He just happened to, he farmed. He put 10 children through college or the military by farming, right? He dropped out of school at 9 because that's what they did back in rural Alabama in that day. My mother was one that said to me, listen, when you go to college, find you a husband because you can go get your master's. You can go do all of that. You can further your career, but that is the time of your life when you will have the most eligible Black men in your presence. Build with your husband. I got married 2 weeks after my graduation. I was 24 years old.
Wow.
I had my first child at 26. I got my master's at 28. I had 3 children by the time I was 31. I am now VP of HR. I think I've done pretty good career-wise. So we got people making long-term decisions out of fear, not even knowing. You ain't even try. I was married 18 years with the same person for 20-something years. Marriage didn't work because, again, we did this. But you have women not even trying. You got fear stopping them before they even try.
I get it. And let me say this to Sister Caroline Bill. we're not saying that we have all the answers. One thing I try to do on the intellectual stew, and that's why I call it a stew, because you put most stew. I'm not a great cook, but the stew that I've seen got like what? Help me out with the ingredients: potatoes, green beans, some type of meat, some type of tomato paste. It's a whole bunch of ingredients, and all those ingredients make a wonderful stew a wonderful dish by the time it's complete. So we're not saying that there are any right or wrong answers. We just like to share the perspectives, and as we share those perspectives, we're able to think them through. And if we're able to think them through, we can kind of see them from different ways. So I get it. I get it, and I'm not saying no. So nobody's right or wrong. But we will scrutinize and talk about all of these things. But I appreciate you for everything that you're saying. And Coy will agree with you 100% when you say marriage is not a badge of honor. Coy said a couple weeks ago, her goal ain't marriage is not necessarily the goal. Companionship is the goal, and a committed relationship is the goal. So we get all of that. We get all of that, and we're trying to create community with what we're doing now. But let's go back to something that Coy said earlier.
James, she sound hurt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna. My name is James. It ain't good. But I'm praying. But,
Mark, don't start. Don't start.
Y'all
not
here to hear.
Y'all know in the name.
Mark, don't start. Okay.
But listen,
Don't
Coy
start.
said someone was talking about she didn't trust the older gentleman didn't trust the younger person to do right by his money, right? I'm gonna be in the last 2 weeks. I'm single, so I can kind of flirt and talk to people because I'm on it. So I'm chatting.
Ooh, child.
Yeah, I'm chatting with somebody, Ashley. I'm chatting with somebody in the inbox, right?
Yes,
and first thing they said was, "How much money can I send them?"
What?
Yeah, can I help them buy?
How long y'all been talking?
15, 20 minutes.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah, can I buy this for them? Then when I told them no, guess what they told me? You flunked the test. I said, you missed the part where I was testing you.
Wow.
And you
I'm glad I flunked that test. Shoot.
Yeah. And that was one. Now the other one was I'm about to come over your house. Do you have a package? Do you have a package for me? What kind of package? Can you help me?
They selling it?
Huh?
They selling it.
I guess. I don't know, but in money, I was always taught that money is the means of exchange for goods and services.
Well, somebody was finna be doing something.
but that's my point is that's 2 in the last 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
How many are doing that? That's not like Nicole. That's not like Mark. I'm sure you can relate to this too. Lazaric, I'm sure you can relate to this too. But there are so many young women. That's what they lead with.
I have never.
Listen, Nicole.
That part, Nicole.
Never.
Even if I didn't have none, I wouldn't be out here prostitute myself.
I don't even know how to do that.
Not, let me say that, not prostitute myself knowingly.
Well, where do y'all live? Where do y'all live? What cities y'all live in?
Atlanta. I'm born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up in College Park, Georgia.
I'm in Arkansas.
All right. Well, if you born and raised Atlanta, you in this city. I'm not saying for people from Atlanta because that's a different type. Yep. They really are. The people from Atlanta really are like good-hearted people. Women here are very hard-working, educated, but they will date Pookie and help him get his barbershop license, then date the other dude. It's a crazy commitment here. But anyway,
you're right.
She went to Spelman.
But hey, he's right.
Listen, they go to Spelman and they men be driving their cars talking about AKA. Like, he ain't no AKA. But anyway, that's another thing.
If my head hurt, I can't with you tonight.
Mark, put it down.
But it may not be y'all. It may not be you. But you understand there is a rhetoric that's going on right now, and that's spreading hard in our culture, in our community, when it comes to what men should be able to do in their life. I'm gonna give you this perfect one. I know y'all heard, and this thing people believe what they hear is like if he's paying half the bills, he's a roommate. He ain't no man. Well, I'm thinking finance 101. Let's say if your outgoing cost a year is $6,000 a month. If that man comes in your life and you're only paying $3,000. I don't think that is a roommate. That is called financial savviness. That is an extra what, $36,000 in your pocket a year. That's called a relationship. That's called unity. That's called working together. But we repeat this silly rhetoric right now, and we don't have anybody come in to correct it. Like, okay, this is silly. And the problem that our community is the ones that, you understand, the way you judge generations by the ones that raised it. So we're seeing the results of foolery and misconception, and no one is saying, hey, look, that's stupid. Let's get back to the roots. Let's talk finance 101. Every woman coming over here talking about they want a man who makes six figures. Look at the numbers. Not everybody makes six figures. Then when you get to that six figures, what are the age ranges of those people who make six figures? What are the body types? What are you like? All those little things you start going to those things, but no one's asking about morale. I mean, it's not morale, the morality. Nobody's asking about their moral compass to be pointed north. Nobody's asking about a spiritual leader. Nobody's asking about a pill in the community. Nobody's asking about the things that really matter and sustain a relationship, life, and legacy. We're not talking about those things because it's not, I guess it's not fun to talk about on social media, but that right now is the influence. Why you hear the money is because right now on the social media, a lot of on the platforms, we are listening to strippers, IG models, and those are the people who are getting up on the microphones and talking to society. And even women, even though these women are girls or ladies are in their 20s and lower 30s, you got women in their 40s and 50s still listen to this and being influenced by it.
Yeah.
So those are things we got to look at right now in our society. We're not just saying strippers and IG models, but drug dealers and rappers and entertainers are.
Well, you got Real Housewives that aren't wives.
Yeah.
So you have an entire franchise.
Well, the thing is, with that show itself, it showed you if you date a man with money, this is how you can live. It didn't show how to. It didn't say keep a relationship together. It showed you, hey, you date a man got money. When you get divorced, you can live like this, and that's what it's shown.
Wow, Mark, you see what my son just said? He said he saw a TikTok from some of those IG models that said their first dates are usually between $300 and $500. I wish I would.
And guess what? They are, because it's our guys who are out there who are doing it. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, if you stop entertaining it, they'll stop asking.
And going back.
Well, I have
hold on, Ashley. And going back to the title of the show, tonight about dying alone, rather than deal with folk who asking me for money and all that kind of stuff, I would rather be alone. Because if I just want companionship, there's a price tag for that. You know, and I ain't got to deal with no headache. I can tell you to leave, do whatever. But I'm not saying that's what I'm gonna do, but that's what's out there. Ashley, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say I have a really good friend, and she is one of those who he need to have at least 3 jobs because she don't believe in paying half on nothing, because she definitely thinks that means being a roommate. And I just feel like, and we've had the argument with her about, like, you would much rather this man be out here about to die and bringing home a check so you can. She works, but she just wants to spend her money on what she wants to spend her money on. So you rather kill him than to help and assist him or whatever it is that he needs to be. And we're just, in most places, it's not feasible for the man to just take care of everything in the house.
You know what? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Corey.
You know what? That sounds so ignorant. I'm gonna tell you why.
Oh, it is.
Because you have a man coming in, even a man coming in, you're already paying 100% of the bills, right? A man coming in, he can only help with 25%, let's say. So you're down to 75%. You rather this man leave and you back to 100%. That doesn't even make sense.
Right.
That doesn't even go together. You rather do 100% alone than to have somebody come in and help contribute to what you're already doing.
Well, I think that we place our value on the wrong thing, right? Absolutely. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were both making, what we were making. And at this point, we both had been divorced. We both were making 6 figures. We managing the kids and doing what we need to do. in the house. And I said, you know, to be honest with you, you could date someone that is a good person, a good-hearted person, protects you, cares about you, checks on you, you know, ain't running the street, loyal, that makes about 50, you know, I threw out a number, right? 50, 60, and he carries the bills with his 50, 60, still allows you to do what you do, and he's a good person. You know, she was like, who gonna date him? Wow. Ma'am, you know how to function at this point off of your salary by yourself. You know how to function. You've successfully done that. You don't need his money at this point. That's right. You've done it for 10, 15 years now, however long you've been divorced. You don't need his money. You need his companionship.
Why? My question is, why do women think they want to marry these guys who got all this money, thinking this guy worked all his life, make all his money, to be with just you?
Right. He got too much money. He got enough money to spread around. He can have 2, 3, 4, and then you want him to be faithful. Come on now.
Yeah, like you think you that good?
Yeah, bring me that intellect. I'm good.
And that's what Eric Cannon said. That type of attitude is why many men choose to be single. But but the title of the show is "We're Still Dying Alone." I got a question. I want to put this question on the because even we talk about helping each other, paying the bills, all this kind of stuff. But when did shacking become the norm? That's not a rhetorical question. That's really a question. When because everybody talking about helping me pay the bills, helping me do this. 30% of the bills, 25% of the bills, 40% of the bills, all the bills. That's a roommate. But when did shacking? Because I ain't moving in with you until we get married.
You don't have any morals anymore. Yeah. Everything goes. Everything goes.
Yeah.
There is no morality.
Somebody in the chat, y'all want to help me answer that question? I mean, please tell me, when did shacking become the norm?
Okay.
Go ahead, Mark.
When did shacking become shacking? Morals are subjective. Somebody made them up, right?
Hold
People choose to follow what they want to follow.
Yeah.
Corey, I can't hear you. You sound like you're underwater. Say it again.
I said, when did shacking become shacking? The morals are subjective. Somebody made them up. People do what they want to do. People follow what they want to follow.
So, Corey, we're gonna have to get rid of you, lose you, because you're on the plane now. We can't hear you no more, sweetheart.
And morals are subjective. That somebody made them up. So.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. What is shacking? Because that's something we came up with. That's not.
Well, shacking is living with somebody that's not your husband or your wife, and that's not your spouse.
But
that's an internship, man. That's an internship. What you talking about?
But the thing about it is, living with someone that's not your husband or your wife is the same thing as a roommate. If I moved in with you, James, and we weren't having any type of relations or whatever, the only time that it becomes a problem is when we start sleeping together and we're not married.
If I live with a woman, we're not going.
I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that when people put too much emphasis on a word that really is not something that, to me, it's made up just like some of the other stuff. But if I moved in with a man today, that don't mean I got to be in there sleeping with him.
Okay.
But wait a minute, James. No, hold on. James, hang on before it get noisy again. We get ready to take off. But let me just say this, James. You gonna dig outside the house? What's the difference in digging inside the house while she's
I can't hear you. I want to hear you so bad, but I can't. She
said, you gonna dig outside the house. What is the difference between being outside the house and being inside the house? Is what she said.
I didn't say anything about digging outside the house, though. I ain't say nothing about digging, period. But I did say that if I live with somebody, because this is the point. I mean, I hear this scenario that you're putting together as it sounds cute, about you gonna move in and y'all don't necessarily might not be doing relations and all that kind of stuff. That sounds cute for the, you can do it for the gram or for TikTok, whatever. But we just talked about somebody moving in. We talked about somebody moving in paying half the bills. Ain't nobody paying half the bills to be in the other bedroom, sweetheart.
That's right.
I don't mean any harm.
If you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. Regardless,
I just think that people, however you want to make it seem, there are a lot of people that are willing to do things without making it seem like it's a sexual exchange for money. And that's all I'm saying. if you have whatever morals and values that you have for yourself, and you tell that man or woman, and they're willing to accept that, you can't say what a person will or will not do.
Well, that's a roommate, and that's different. But we weren't talking
I
about
just
roommates
said
at that particular point. I mean,
That's what she said.
huh?
Yeah, that's what she called it.
Yeah,
A roommate.
that wasn't what we was talking about. That wasn't the premise of the conversation. The premise of the conversation was somebody coming in talking about, I don't, if I think she said, if you don't have this, or if he only pays this amount, then he's not this. He's a roommate. Ain't that what you just said?
that's not what I said.
Well, somebody said that a few minutes ago.
No,
No,
that's what our friend said.
I said if I've known women to say that if he coming in, he wants to pay half the bills, he's a roommate.
Yeah, that's what Mark said.
Yeah, it's it's a mindset that's floating out there. It's just like
Yes.
settling. We have all these mindsets flying around, and nobody doing a doggone thing, but just taking on mindsets.
And that's the thing about it. Like honestly, like you said, I think I told you before of the show, our black culture is very lost. Like I told you, we take the best parts of white culture, put a little flavor on it, and call it black, right? And we look at the top echelon of whites and say we try to mimic ourselves after these whites who have a lot of money, and we're straight up middle class, and we're trying to say this is the lifestyle we want to live. Well, the thing about it is we don't talk about real stuff like legacy. We don't talk about long relationship. We don't talk about community. We don't talk. And when you come to the Texas community, look how we care for each other these days. We watch videos of men videoing women fighting men. That didn't used to happen. We watch videos of people going through trauma, and people don't have enough time to care to put down their phone instead of filming them to really care and ask what's going on. These are the things that when they talk about love, that's what we're lacking. True love in our culture.
Wow.
I don't want to die. I tell you like this, I don't want to die alone, and I definitely don't want to live with misery.
Yeah.
And how we live a lot of times is how we end up dying.
Yeah.
And if you live in love, you go to funerals of people who live with love. Their funerals are not where they died alone. People come and they talk about so many different parts of their life where this person impacted them and the memories they had. But when you live that type of life with the culture we live in, a lot of us are going to die alone. Because I'm going to tell you like this, when you make money, what's going to make you miserable is because everybody around you because you got money. That's the things that people don't talk about. When they wake up, the fake parties, fake get-togethers, and everybody laughing because you funny, and everybody know you ain't that funny. It's fake. The realness is what we desire. And I challenge you. I challenge anybody who listens to this podcast. Start living your truth. So it talked about change and in church, and they had these myths, right? First, you got to admit things.
Yeah.
You got to admit to something. You got to admit to your ways. Then you got to submit. And you got to submit yourself to change. Then it takes humility. Then you got to commit, and you got to commit to it, stick to it. And then that's when you transmit. Because after you go through that, now you'll be able to see the fruits of your labor and change. But nobody want to go through those things.
They don't want to do that.
Nah, it's hard.
It's easy to go from person to person and then blame the person, right? Because you're the one unhealed, but nobody gets me. I'm just going to stay by myself. Ain't nobody out here. We'll go through all of that. When honestly, it cannot be everybody you talk to. There's a common denominator most of the time.
We don't look in the mirror. We do not look at the mirror ourselves. You got dudes out here with the biggest stomachs in the world talking about they want a woman with a slim waist.
Manhood.
But you got some women out there who
Thick and Mark.
Hey, you got some women out there look like they can wrestle with in WWF around here, talking about they ain't settling. They want a man like, listen, man, I'm sorry. I deal with the reality. I'm like, yo, I'm all right. Like I know where I can date at, and I deal with that. A lot of us we are misplacing our love for things in this society that are meaningless and that devalue over time.
That's good.
That's good. Turk, Trey said if you still have a strong relationship with it, and Trey, you missed the beginning of the show. What we were saying is that the premise of the show was that women die single, but men die alone. because women still, their children still see about them in their old age. They see. I'm going to put that up, Chandria. That's what we're going to close on that. But women, technically, a lot of men don't have the relationship like I have with y'all, son. So they don't. Their children don't check for them. Trey took me to Nicole. Have you been to the Toast on Lennox?
Not yet, because the line is always too long.
They told us it's a 3-week wait.
Yeah.
Well, the woman told us 2 months in advance to get a reservation. But I don't know if I want to eat nowhere in 2 months. I don't know if I'm gonna make a reservation that soon.
Yeah.
That's a long wait. But we got a girl that went to college with us, so she told us she can get us in now. So we got a connection up there. So
Okay, I gotta go. I gotta
Yeah,
go. Gotta go check it out.
No, it's really, really good. And we're getting ready to wind this conversation down. And Nicole, I appreciate you for stepping in. Ashley, I appreciate
Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, you'll be back if whenever you have time. You're welcome. Actually, we were supposed to do a segment called Nicole's Nuggets, but I haven't never pushed the issue enough, and I know if I ask, she'll give it to me because she's never turned me down. Yeah. Ashley, I appreciate you for pushing through tonight because I know you have a migraine, and I know what that feels like. So I appreciate you for pushing through.
Feel better, Ash.
Yeah, Coy, I appreciate you for trying to make it through. She's at the airport, and Coy has really taken on my heart, especially with this podcast, because she's always trying to think of content, trying to think of new shows and things of that nature, and she wants to help our community too. So that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you,
Mark. I appreciate you every week for coming through, man.
Hey, man.
Like the G, Mark is always on point with me, and I appreciate that as well. But Mark actually gave us our takeaways for tonight, and those are gonna be our takeaways. I'll do my Tuesday takeaways on Tuesdays, so that people that didn't catch the show, they'll know what they are. But this show was special to me because, like I said, I'm 50. I'm single. Never thought I would be at this age, but I am. There are times I'm an introvert, so a lot of times I don't even like going anywhere anyway. But imagine being an introvert who don't really want to be around people, but really wants company. That's constant frustration, right? So if you're sitting around here lonely, and my kids, they've gone about their lives because they all live with mama, and day to day they still eating fish and spaghetti on Friday and all that, same traditions we built over the years, but I'm here alone now, you know what I'm saying? And I promise one day I looked up and I said, if I passed away, who would know?
Mark, what you eating?
Huh?
Tearing it up.
What you say?
I said, Mark, what you over there eating?
Hey, he can't talk now because he got a mouthful.
Hey, don't you do
that. But no, listen. I think we might need I think it's layers to this conversation, and I think we need to continue to have it, not just from the standpoint of dying alone, but just trying to figure out how to get together, and that's my goal. Because really, I won't marry people to come on the show because they can tell us their experiences. I won't divorce people to come on the show because they can talk about their mistakes and what they've learned from their mistakes. I want single people to come on the show because they can share their experience. Because, Nicole, I'm like you. We were married for 18, 20 years. Single dating has changed. So we got to learn how to function.
It's so ghetto.
It is so ghetto. So we got to learn how to function in this society. Yeah, it's different, man. I used to drive all the way to Latonia to pick somebody up and go on a date. Now, we might. Hey, look, if with online dating, I got to know what area of town you live in. If you're in Lawrenceville, I ain't coming out.
Inflation is gas prices.
Gas prices is $5 a gallon is gonna keep me. So if you ain't within a 7-mile radius, we might have a chance. We might not have a chance anyway. So that's why it's all distorted. But either way, we're gonna keep having these conversations. Mark is gonna be here as long as I keep asking. I think he's gonna come, and I appreciate that. And Mark also talks about different variations to these conversations that we need. Mark wants to talk about education and trying to take care of the education gap.
Oh, I can talk about that all day.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into those.
But see, the thing is, it's not just the education gap, but we're not educating ourselves on family and finances. This is the thing is, we need to understand a legacy frame of mind.
Yep.
And what we're not doing, especially our generation, we're selfish as hell. We're one of the most selfish generations there are, because we're the tail end of that generation who were raised with that. Well, I had a struggle, so you have to find your way like I did. And then we are in total rebellion, and we're trying to do so many different things to remedy the pain and hurt that we had. We're not understanding that sometimes we're worse than the generation before us. But I'll talk about that another time. I absolutely love this forum. If there's my piece on the way out is to say, be honest with yourself so you can have honest results. But if you keep lying to yourself, you understand that's why you always live in a lie.
That's good. What you got in closing, Ashley?
My only closing is that we miss the opportunity to share and celebrate your 50th birthday. And so I wanted to publicly, I'm not looking my best. However, I wanted to just tell you happy 50th birthday. You still got a gift coming. And for all of you guys that did not get to send James a Cash App, he is still celebrating his 50th birthday all this month, all this year, if that's what he want to do, because not many people made it to 50. We've gone through some trying, tumultuous times over these past 2-3, while we in the third year of COVID. And so a lot of people can't say that they made it to 50, let alone another year. So it's definitely a blessing. I'm thankful to God that we crossed paths on Facebook. We've only met one time in person. But yeah, so we didn't get a chance to celebrate your birthday on last week, but happy belated birthday.
Thank you. And you know what? The gifts I got mostly came from Stu Nation, from my
oh wow, that's good.
That's amazing. People told me that my listeners would support me more than my family and friends would, and I didn't believe it. But it was I had one person, Nicole. I had one person. I told them I was on my way to eat at Stony River, and we were on a conversation. I told them I was on my way, and we're on the way to the restaurant. While I'm on the way to the restaurant, I said, I gotta go. I'm about to sit down and eat. They said, hold on right quick. Check your text message. And it was $100 gift card.
See? And you didn't want to do anything.
I didn't.
No.
That wasn't the only Cash App I got. And I'm telling you, everything I got came from, and my kid, my son, a couple other people like that. But I'm talking about, most of what I got came. And I didn't, and I'm not when you look at my love language, sending and receiving gifts gets 0% from me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's why I don't, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to owe you nothing. You know what I mean? I know that's a messed up mentality. I just never have been one. I never got parties, all that kind of stuff. I just never was that dude. So y'all came through for me, and I appreciate you, and I love you. And Koi, you still there? I think she's on the plane. Just want to make sure I saw her picture. So let me take her off. All right. So Nicole, in closing, what you got for us?
I want to say thank y'all for having me. I'll definitely be back. I know you've been trying to get me on here. I just think that we have to heal. We have to do the work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And Nicole, whenever you want to come on, you have a standing seat at this table. And you also have Nicole's Nuggets whenever you have some message that you think that our community will benefit from, and you see what we're doing over here, do that.
I got plenty of those.
I'm going to start my Tuesday night show. Tuesday would be my Tuesday flow service. I'm scheduling some pastors that I'm going to be interviewing a lot of pastors. I'm being honest with y'all. And we're going to talk about their journey. We're not going to talk about scriptures. We ain't going to be talking about church. We're going to be talking about their journey, their call, all those types of things that Doubting Thomas said he wasn't going to believe unless what? He saw the wounds, right? So we're going to get some people to come on that don't mind sharing their wounds with us. And those wounds have stories. So in closing, a couple of different things in closing. We want to try to have a takeaway. Mark and Koi were kind of big on telling me to make sure that I did this. But Mark, I had different takeaways, but when Mark gave me these, I thought I should go ahead and just use what he gave me. And he said, if we're going to do anything, what we can do is we have a community, we need to admit our mistakes, realize that we have messed up, we have done wrong, all those types of things. Number two, we need to submit, meaning submit to love. We got to learn how to love, submit to each other. Then we need to commit to one another. And then once we commit, then we need to transmit that love. And I thought that was good, Mark. I thought that was real, real good. So let's leave on that note. We're gonna admit, we're gonna submit, we're gonna commit, and then we're gonna transmit. It's been real. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties earlier, but we still got a good hour long show in here, and I appreciate Nicole, Ashley, Koi, and Mark. And I'll see you all next week. We'll see. You know what? I might stop giving topics. We might just get on here and just start talking. We'll figure out how we're growing organically together. So let's have fun. What do I tell y'all every week? I tell you that the world is changing. But my question for you is, why do you remain the same? Y'all have a good night. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Good night.